All right, people. Review of the week time. So, lot to get into, lot to talk about. Before we preview Eubank Benn and we have a look at the weekly boxing news, let's just talk about the two shows that happened last night. Because there's two shows that went on last night. I did see the Virgil, I almost call him Virgil Hunter there, Virgil Ortiz, Erickson Lubin fight. Got what I expected, to be honest with you. Erickson Lubin has always had very questionable punch resistance. He's not a bad fighter, but he's all there. He always looked like someone who would struggle to bridge that gap between, world level to that next step. He's a very solid fighter, but I just knew when they matched him with Ortiz, I was like, yeah, this is not going to end well for him. And that was the case. It was a vicious ending. Obviously, Erickson Lubin didn't touch down, but the referee jumped in at the right time because he was taking a beating in there from Ortiz. Got the fight I expected. Erickson Lubin, this was really just the kind of a stay busy fight for me, to be honest with you, for Virgil Ortiz. He's been on a good run of form. He beat Boachuk last year. I know a lot of people feel that was a very close fight, but then he fought Israel Madrimov. And say what you want to say, he beat him, in my opinion, soundlier than Crawford did. Crawford Madrimov was close. Virgil Ortiz, Virgil Ortiz is legit. He is legit. The question then is what happens? Him and Boots Ennis. What's going to happen? It has to happen next. I think it does. I hope it has to. It has to happen next, quite frankly. Matchroom versus Golden Boy. Listen, Boots Ennis looked fine. Looked devastating last time out. But he was in there again. And I suppose you could say, well, actually, probably Lubin was better than the guy. No, Lubin definitely was better than the guy Boots fought last time around. But both guys, they're playing it safe. They're on a collision course. At 147 pounds, I always fancy Boots, because I knew the struggle Virgil was having. And he's even talking about going to the middle. You can just imagine. I mean, he literally put himself, Ortiz, through beyond hell, trying to make 147 as long as he did. No wonder he's already talking about moving up to another weight, because seriously, he put himself in a hospital a couple of times trying to make 147. So, need to get that fight done ASAP. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I kind of am edging slightly to Virgil because I just think he is tremendous, but I think Boots is too. The problem with Boots is his defense is not the strongest, and Virgil can really punch. Really punch. I didn't have a look at this fight, but I am interested just to see this kid's development, because I didn't see it, but there was a guy on the undercard called Joshua Edwards. All right, he's from Houston, Texas. He's 25 years old. His nickname is The Rocket, or his alias is The Rocket. 6'3", 25 years old, a heavyweight with a record of 5-0. Now, his resume is as you would expect. I mean, he's been feasting on nobodies, but he only made his pro debut in April of this year. That's pretty good going, to be fair. To be able to get out 5 times this year in your first year when you only turn pro in April, that's actually pretty damn good. He actually fought April, May, June, August, and that's very good going, actually, to be fair. So in America, you could still, in the UK, it's just not possible, but in America, there's so many shows on, because there's obviously 50 different states. Because you look at this kid, he's fought in Las Vegas, don't know where that is. It's in a state, I don't know which state it's in. He's fought in Illinois, he's fought in Fort Worth, so he's fought all around the country. So you can stay active in America. People have been telling me that this Joshua Edwards kid, he's again 5-0 with 5 knockouts. Who did he fight in the amateurs? He actually beat Delicious Ori in the amateurs. He got beat by Bakadir Jalilov. Well, no surprise there. Most people get beat by him. Who else is on his amateur resume that I might know of? Not really, just those two. So he was a decent amateur. I mean, yeah, he got the win over Delicious Ori. All right, you got the win over, or you lost to Bakadir Jalilov, but that's nothing new. Bakadir Jalilov, why is he sticking around in the amateurs? So yeah, he's going to be an interesting shout. He's going to be an interesting watch, because America needs a good prospect. We thought we had one with Jared Anderson. We don't really know what's going on with him. But this kid, I'll be keeping a close eye on him. In the UK, there was also a show on last night. There was a GBM show, and me, GBM, I think that Izzy Asif is criminally underrated. Pound for pound, he may be one of the best promoters in the UK, because he doesn't have the budget of I don't know what Ben Shalom is doing, but he doesn't have, obviously, the budget or the backing that Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren does. but he's consistently putting on good shows. Like, I mean, you cannot tell me that those GBM shows are not entertaining. He's putting on good domestic clashes. He's got some world title fights on there before. I think Terry Harper fought for a world title or defended a world title on one of them. He's doing really, really good stuff. And that show he did last night, which was the, we call it the Heist. It's kind of like Prize Fighter. Well, it's basically Prize Fighter, just with a different name, what Eddie Hearn used to do. And personally for me, I really enjoyed it. The winner was a guy called James Ozzy Osborne. And I've seen his fight with Jermaine Brown. And it was weird, right? Because it was almost like a double knockdown in the first round. And James Osborne actually came back in that first. Because in a 3-rounder, so if you get a 10-8 round against you in a 3-rounder, even if you win the last 2 rounds, you're lucky to get a draw. He did beat the living crap out of Jermaine Brown for the remainder of the first round. Rocked him actually quite badly towards the back end of the round. And in the judges' eyes, he did enough to get the point back. So he lost the first round and he clearly won the other 2. So he got through to the final, where he fought a guy called Razard Lewicki. I'm guessing he's of Polish descent because he's based in Manchester. Yeah, 29 seconds. That was devastating. James Osborne is one of those fighters where he's 33 years old, 13-1. He's only got 3 knockouts. But if you look at this guy fight, you can tell this guy's got some punching power, because he was hitting these guys and he was hurting. So yeah, that was the GBM show. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. The format is good. Izzy Asif actually said in an interview with Boxing King Media that he'd be looking to do another Heist because it went very well. It was up in Hull at heavyweight next time. That's really, like, if he does that, heavyweight slugging it out for 3 rounds, that's going to be good. That's going to be good. The winner, as I said, James Osborne, 30 grand he ended up going home with because he won the 25k, which was the prize money. And then he won the knockout of the night, which brought it up to 30k. For a fighter like that, 33 years of age, I think he said he has 3 or 4 kids. That right there is, like, for him as a fighter to come back with 30k, I mean, like, that is literally probably nearly a year of you being able to train full time with that money. So it's, for a fighter like that, I mean, 30 grand is not necessarily life changing. It's not like getting like 100 grand, 200 grand. But in terms of a fighter's career, that pays the bills for a long time. It certainly could. So I hope to see more of these. And again, shout out to Izzy Asif. He's really doing some great work there at GBM. It really is. This week is Ben Eubank. Eubank Ben 2. I will be doing a prediction video. We're going to do a live because I'm going to move all this equipment into the living room in the coming days. And I really want to test how the live's going to work and what kind of angles we're using. So we will get a live in this week beforehand. But people, let's talk about the card itself. So it's not as entertaining to me on paper as the previous card was for these guys. That had Yard Arthur. It had Brandon Glanton versus CBS. I had to think of his name there. It also had Vidal Riley versus... Yikes, I'm forgetting his name. Oh, that's bad, because I like that fighter as well, and I forgot his name completely. But they all actually ended up going the distance. I see fights here that won't go the difference. Tommy Welch versus Richard Riakporhe. That's going to be very good. Riakporhe heavyweight. Let's see. Sam Gilly, Ishmael Davis. I really do fancy Ishmael Davis in that fight. Sam Gilly's coming off an 8-round draw, which is crazy, considering that he was British champion not so long ago. Jack Catterall, Echo Usman. That can go one of 2 ways. Either Echo Usman can make that into a really exciting fight, or Jack Catterall in front of Turkey Al-Sheikh will prove Turkey right. You know what I mean with that one. No disrespect, but it's just the truth. And Adam Azim versus Kurt Scooby. That should be interesting. He's been fighting on that. Is it Overtime Boxing on the Zone as well? So that's the undercard. Look forward to seeing Adam Azim. Ishmael Davis versus Sam Gilly. That'll be a good fight. But in terms of Ben Eubank 2, I just hope we get a good fight. I just hope that there's no shenanigans on either way. I hope that whoever wins, we could just draw a line in the sand on this. We get a good fight, and that's the end of it. Because I think, as I said in separate videos, right, there are fights that you just know there'll be a rematch. Even if there's a rematch clause in the contract, you just know this has not only rematch written all over it, but potential trilogy written all over it. And as exciting as the first fight was, as dramatic as the build-up and the whole everything was, it just felt like one of them where it was done and you're like, all right, draw a line in the sand. Now, obviously, for promotional reasons, everything like that, it was obviously going to make a lot of money, so it made sense to do it a second time, fair enough. But it does kind of, it's not like a Fury Usyk, or say a Joshua Usyk, or Joshua Fury, if that ever happens. It just kind of, even Chisora White, you just knew, even though the rematch took 2 years to make, you just knew that's got rematch written all over it. Whereas this one just doesn't. It's just almost, because they're just so different in their careers. One's a welterweight, one's a middleweight / super middle. And you're just like, what? That's kind of how you feel. That's kind of how I feel about it. That's just me personally on it. But we have that fight this week. Obviously, I will be doing a live watch along. Of course, absolutely. I am really looking forward to trying the watch along in here because TV, got the zone on it. Everything should be good. Haven't done a watch along in this kind of setting where I've got the studio light, the mic, everything. So it's going to be, that's why I need to do a preview run this week, maybe Tuesday, because I think we're doing that ANG Man tomorrow. And then I think, Tuesday might be the best day. Might be the best day to do it. So we might do a preview stream on Tuesday. We'll wait and see for that. But yeah, that is the Benn Eubank preview until we get into our main prediction video, which is probably going to come out tomorrow. Maybe. I probably will be tomorrow, to be fair. Let's just have a look at some boxing news. So, everything boxing. Aja Kabayel, January 10th home fight against Damien Kaiba is nearing 12,000 sellout at the Rudolf Weber Arena in Germany. Now, this fight was announced, I think, early last week. I think it was early last week when this fight was announced. And for me, I was just like, do you know what? The man is doing what Joseph Parker should have done. He really is, because he's not under any obligation to fight anybody, devastatingly brilliant or anything like that. I think that that's a perfectly adequate opponent. It's a tick over. He wants a homecoming in Germany. And German boxing, really after Vladimir lost to Fury, because I know Vladimir obviously fought Joshua, but that was in the UK. After Vladimir lost to Fury, it just seemed like German boxing, Arthur Abraham then lost. And that was really it then. Because if you remember when Eddie Hearn in the early days of Sky, I think even pre-AJ winning his world title, and even when AJ was world champion, Eddie Hearn was working a lot with the Sauerlands. So you'd see matchroom fighters fighting over in Germany on Sauerland shows, because a lot of those fighters, like Arthur Abraham, was promoted by Sauerland. Don't think Klitschko obviously had K2, but you get what I mean. German boxing was big. It was popping over there. So you saw a lot of shows over there. Jürgen Bremer was another one. He fought on a couple. I think he fought Nathan Cleverly, actually, on one of those Eddie Hearn shows, or a Sauerland show that Eddie Hearn lent him out for. So you get what I mean. There was a lot of boxing over there. Over the last decade, it's been gone. There's just been nothing. And there was some really good fights. Remember Arthur Abraham, Robert Stieglitz, those fights? I think it was the second or third fight. It was the fight where Stieglitz won. And that was wild. It was only like a couple of rounds. It was wild while it was going on. So German boxing needs a bit of life into it. And I think this is a good thing. I really do. Fight Hub are reporting that there are 3 options for Anthony Joshua's next fight. Fighting on a Turkey Al Sheikh show in early 2026. There was rumours that he was going to be on an undercard, maybe on a Riyadh show, maybe not this year. So Turkey Al Sheikh, his next show, well, that I'm aware of, maybe is in the back end of January, I think in MSG or somewhere in New York. I think it's going to be Shakur versus Teofimo Lopez. Nothing official, but that's what we're hearing. Facing Jake Paul in December. That'd be the most lucrative, and AJ's bank balance would be thanking him for the rest of his life, even though his bank balance probably already is. Or fight on an upcoming Matchroom undercard. Well, it won't be this week, obviously. You have the Monaco show. There's a Next Gen show. It will not be on the Next Gen show. There's not a hope of that. That literally leaves Ghana. So I don't know what AJ is going to do. I really don't. That does literally leave Ghana then, but I don't think he's going to be on that show. So does have us asking the questions, what is going to happen with Anthony Joshua? Who and when is he going to fight? Listen, I just want to see Anthony Joshua just get back in the ring so we can make an assessment of where we're at with him. That's what I really want to see. I need to see what we're working with, because people going off the assumption he's going to be fine. He didn't get knocked out by Alexander Usyk in either of the fights. He didn't touch down in either fight with Usyk, but he was gun shy as anything when he came back. So what does that was just the guy outboxing him, right? So he is going to look unbelievably gun shy, I would imagine. So people saying like, oh, he'll be fine. It's like, well, we need to see that. We need to see what happens, right? We really do. We really do. So DAZN announced on, I believe it was Friday, that they have a new subscription tier called DAZN Ultimate, which will give subscribers all the regular DAZN shows over the last 12 months, over the next 12 months, including pay-per-views, 12 plus a year. Now, I was looking at that on Friday and I was like, okay, that doesn't sound like a bad deal. If you think about it like this, it means essentially that they're eliminating pay-per-view in a sense if you have the top tier. But then you can kind of look at it and maybe say, well, actually, does that mean then that there's going to be more pay-per-view fights on now, similar to Joseph Parker, Fabio Wardley, where love the fight, but it had a proper Saturday Fight Night feel. It didn't have a pay-per-view feel to it, you know? So, yeah, there's a, I don't know, I think me and Ade, we went out yesterday for a little bit, and he was telling me about Steve Kim. And he was saying that in the height of HBO, where you're looking at like 04, 08, I think he said they did something like 8 pay-per-views in 4 years. So you're talking roughly 2 a year. That's insane. In 4 years, that's insane. Artur Beterbiev announces that he is now a free agent. Artur Beterbiev said, "Hi everyone, I got a lot of questions about my promotional status. From June 2025, I am a free agent. My contract with Top Rank expired. I'm grateful for all the years with Top Rank and want to thank them. They gave me the opportunities, and for the opportunities they gave me. I want everyone who follows and support me to know that I believe I am the best fights are ahead." He was meant to be on the show on November the 22nd. He was meant to be on that, right? And he's not now. Now, he was meant to be fighting Dion Nicholson, whose nickname is the Equalizer. I don't think he would have been Equalizer. I don't think that would have worked against Artur Beterbiev. But it does make me wonder what's going to happen next. Bob Arum recently did a show with Michaela Meyer headlining, and it went completely under the radar. Top Rank still don't have a contract in the States. That's insane. Bob Arum, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya. Need I go on? This is the guy. Terence Crawford. And he can't, like, obviously fighters he's promoted and he's not got a TV deal. That's insanity. There was a time you'd go on BoxRec and you'd look up Bob Arum, the promoter, and it could be like March of 2019 and he has shows listed going into 2020. That is just, it's insanity what's happening with Top Rank over there. It really is. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis has officially been cancelled. Anyway, Daniel Dubois versus Frank Sanchez. I almost called him Fabio Sanchez there. The IBF have now scheduled the purse bid for November the 13th, which I believe is this Thursday, isn't it? Yes, this Thursday. So that's going to be interesting. The winner will be mandatory for Alexander Usyk. Now, we know the IBF tend to exploit their mandatories very, very quickly. They really do tend to do that. It does have me wondering, though, if Dubois we'll say, fight Frank Sanchez and say he beats him. It's not inconceivable. We don't know how old Frank Sanchez really is. If his knees are going, that's not a good sign. If he does beat him, there's no way we're getting the trilogy fight with Usyk. What's the point? It's not like either fights were particularly competitive, to be honest, which neither of them were. So that does have me wondering, what the hell is the point in that? But ayo, what can you do? That's all I got to say on that one. I think that's pretty much. I'm going to check the Ring magazine before I finish, because I like to get these about 20 minutes or so. I'm not seeing much else in terms of news. I really am. And the Ring magazine can be a bit, it's very ring heavy, ring fight heavy, and those kind of things. When it was Michael Benson, you used to just get news, and more news. It was great. Nowadays, it's just kind of like, you get like a little snippet of good stuff now and again, and then you're having to scroll through and find pretty much anything. So is there anything that the Ring magazine have? Anything whatsoever? Struggling here, people, I have to say. That's where Boxing Scene comes in. Actually, before we finish, we'll do a quick look on Boxing Scene, and if there's nothing there that piques my interest, we'll call it here. I think it's still a good episode. Lucas Brown has a retirement plan. He's not finished yet. I thought he was finished about 10 years ago. Never mind me. Jeez Christ. And he's been knocked out a bunch of times as well. Like, seriously, he's got to be in his mid-40s now. Lucas Brown. Anything else, really? Ottavallin blows out, overmatched Chris Thomas in 2 rounds. Brilliant, yeah. Yeah, he got blown out by Anthony Joshua, so there you go. What else is there? Not really anything, to be honest with you. Literally nothing. So, people, I will leave it there. Now, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you all have a great week. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. I will keep you in the loop about the live, because I really do want to get this stuff moved into the living room and get a test live and just chat to you guys for a bit. I haven't done one that hasn't been a watch along in a while. So until then, people, I will leave it there. I hope you have a great week. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff.